close enough to 6 o'clock on my watch. So, starting with the Pledge Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First item is approval of the agenda, which everyone has a copy of. It's short and sweet. We're only really focusing on one thing right now. So I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Is there support?
Second. Support.
Support. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Approval of the minutes from the last month's meeting, which was August 12th. Again, everyone has a copy. I would entertain a motion to approve them.
I support.
Okay. Well, actually,
I second.
make the motion.
Oh,
You can make the motion and I'll support.
Okay, I make a motion to
Since you
approve
did
the minutes. Okay, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
And I will support. Any corrections or items on the minutes we should discuss?
No, I think I captured the essence of the meeting.
Okay. Then with that, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Minutes approved. Public comment. We have no public in attendance tonight. Correspondence. I have received a follow-up email from Charter Spectrum wondering if we're going to sign their $100,000 contract, which I have not responded to yet, because I still have not had a meeting with the city manager to discuss how we should approach that. So I guess it's on the agenda, so I'll withhold further conversation about that until we get to that item on the agenda.
Okay.
Trying to think any other correspondence. Nothing that I can think of. So my report, basically short and sweet. The lights are barely being kept on since we're not on charter right now. The workload is minimal. It's basically just posting things onto our YouTube channel. The normal meetings are getting recorded and posted, so the city meetings, Filer, Manistee Township, although I missed Manistee Township's meeting this current month, and then Onekama Township meetings get recorded by Ed Bradford, who is also the Onekama Township treasurer, I believe, is his role there. He records them and submits them, so they're getting uploaded as well. So kind of the content is out there. And I did mention this last month, but I have stopped personally recording the DDA meetings. And so they are now responsible for recording them, and they did and submitted it, and so that transition seems to have gone okay. Although I haven't yet gotten the recording for, or did I get?
It was, the one from this week was on.
It was? Okay. I knew last month's was, but I wasn't sure. I don't remember. I've been kind of busy at work right now. So that then takes us to old business. I'll actually talk about the Charter Spectrum first. So after our last meeting, I reached out to the city manager and Ed Bradford and just asked the question, are there other city buildings that do have Charter fiber running to them already, so that we could forego, kind of short circuit this by just saying, well, how about we do it in this building instead? There aren't, so that doesn't help us. So at this point, I'm thinking that short of some other resolution that I hasn't occurred to me yet is that when I meet with the city manager and I hear officially that the city's not willing to write that big of a check, which to me is an obvious response, that really our only option is for to wait for MAPS to finish their renovation in the current building and kind of back in place what we had before the renovation started. Could be a significant period of time yet, but it should be the lowest cost, barring some other facility building that I'm not aware of that we could possibly utilize.
So should that be the case,
Yes.
then you go back to Kennedy, right?
Yes.
Is that what-
Yep.
Would there then be, what would the bill be then from Spectrum, you think, or do you know?
I
Would be the $100,000.
correct.
Okay.
It probably still would be the $6,000
Mhm.
for basically the new hardware because we're upgrading system hardware. So on there, that, and then I think there is an ongoing monthly fee was less than $100. I don't remember exactly what it was on their proposal, but that should be it.
So the 100K was to run the fiber,
Yes.
okay, into a building,
Correct.
and then you'd still probably have to pay the $6,000, it was
Correct.
all in, okay.
Yes, yes. And the way we had previously been running before this construction started was that it terminated in Kennedy, and then we used MAPS fiber from Kennedy over to the
Okay.
high school. So we would
Mhm.
redo that same approach. So we're still getting fiber all the way through, it's just we're using MAPS, which already has fiber between their buildings, and not Charter running new fiber.
So if you were to go to the high school, you couldn't go to the high school, for a freshman then, I'm just, couldn't use the high school because there's fiber there, right?
There's not Charter fiber,
Oh, it's MAPS fiber.
it's MAPS fiber.
Got it, okay, that makes sense.
So
So there is, the only place with charter fiber is Kennedy.
it's basically right along Maple and
Okay.
thoroughfare through.
Okay, got it. Have you been to the school to see how it's, probably not, went along,
I-
heard?
Have not heard, I haven't asked that question. I see that it is under
Oh,
construction.
it's under some serious,
So,
they're going at it.
but I don't know what their timeline is.
Yeah.
And specifically, I don't know what their timeline is for the part of the building that were in, so, which could be different or
Right,
could be better or worse than other aspects of the building, so. So that's the latest I have on that.
okay.
Um,
So right now it's just uploaded to
just.
the server
to-
and to YouTube.
Correct,
Okay.
yep,
And so the only way a constituent or a city person's gonna get it is by going to those sites. They're not gonna get on 198 or.
correct, yep.
Okay.
So that then takes us to our other work. So I see you have given us a nice document, which
Oh, it's the best. It's the best.
formalizes our previous, or puts down on paper our previous conversations.
Mhm.
Do you have anything to update us with tonight?
No, I did I started to mess around with pulling code off other calendars and putting it in, a website generator just to look. I'm like, it was kind of pointless, right? Like, I mean, I can do that and I can
Right.
craft something up, but until we get an agreement or a way forward, I didn't want to put too much effort into it. And going back and reviewing the notes, I really liked what you said last month about the phased approach once the calendar is operational, like phase 1 being just the city content, phase 2 maybe expand it to county, 3
Mhm.
townships, and then
Mhm.
4 would be public, which I really like. So I think, taking those small incremental steps is a lot easier to do and get agreement on, because even if you just stop there, right, with municipalities,
Right.
like, I wouldn't call it good enough because it doesn't accomplish the mission of what we're trying to do. But it is.
It provides some added value.
Right, absolutely. I will say that in the last month, I have had probably 8 different conversations, unsolicited, of people telling me like, I didn't know about this, I didn't know about that. For example, the person that runs, was putting a float in every parade within the county, was like, I had to go all over the internet and call people to find when the parade dates were for Brethren in Onekama and things like that, right? It wasn't just it wasn't a one-stop shop. So just reinforcing the need for this product for sure. And I mean, I do see it drawing a lot of foot traffic into the website.
If we can
Right.
pull off what we envision,
Right.
I agree. An anecdotal of my just personal experiences on Friday night when I came home from work, and it's like, why are there picnic tables stacked up on River Street in front of the building I own? And I got home and it's like, oh, that's because the street's being closed off for the block party. And it's like, I think I'm well connected, but I didn't know that that was going on.
Right.
And if I hadn't driven through, I would have never even known there was an event happening, because I'm not getting anything proactively.
You're not going to
mentioned.
TJ's website to see it.
Right, and I'm sure it was on a variety of different places, but none that I happened to stumble across.
Right.
So as technology has proliferated information out there, access to information is actually getting harder.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is counterintuitive.
Right,
But,
because you want quality in one location so you don't have to.
and this is also something, it needs to be pushed to you. Well, if it's one location and you're trained to look there, that's one thing. But in general, it's better still if it's pushed to you with some sort of notification that isn't too verbose, so you don't get 30 a day, it's annoying, but you get, maybe one a week that says, here's what's coming that you might be interested in, type thing, that, so that I have a better chance of actually responding.
I did, the site that I would has a lot of good features, like sortable by type of event and things like that, is the New York City Parks Department, right? Because you can like educational and you can do ages and you can kind of sort it like that. And I mean, if you start building it like with just the simplicity of like city council meeting, county meetings, whatever, right? Like then the list can be expanded from that. But it is a good way to like sort those events.
And thinking that from a notification standpoint, send me a weekly email or a text with a link to, a message that is the things that I'm interested in. But then that content, so you're not getting bombarded with, here's 200 things of which you only care about 10. But at the same time, it can be then a reminder, and there are all these other things that are here, even though you don't want them pushed to you, but you want to be reminded, oh, if I'm looking for something, I know where to go. Oh, this is a place to find when that meeting is. Because again, most people don't need to know all of the commission meeting dates of every commission in the city, because generally they're not going to care most of the time, but they need to be able to be reminded, oh, there are these commissions and they do meet periodically.
Yeah,
I know where to go look. Not that you probably couldn't figure out, city commission, city website probably has that.
Right.
But again, that's just one example of a variety of different entities that you may not.
So with that, like, to take an incremental step to just do the city calendar, right? The city events calendar as a way to hyperlink to the broadcast events.
Well, Go ahead.
Well,
I'm gonna augment what you're suggesting, but I want you to finish first before I interrupt.
Sure, so like what would, in your mind, I know you had talked about meeting manager, right?
Yes. Yep.
And not only to talk about, but I think probably this would be like, what are the next steps? Because November is right around the corner, and if that's when you have to report,
Yes. Yeah.
like it would be good to have like a plan with phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, 4, to include like organizations that could post, and then ultimately maintenance and revenue generation. So, but like just needing to get a nod of, I don't know if you need an approval, like in it, like to say, yeah, that's where we want to go, or how does that work on a commission like this?
I think it starts with getting a general consensus of city council to go ahead. Then I would say, starting with the city, it really would be working with Ed Bradford, who's kind of the IT person for the city, and just find out what possibility there is to get a data feed from the city's existing calendar.
So we don't have to
data
take
doesn't
it.
be entered twice. And not knowing what their platform is, I don't know how easy or hard that is. It may be easier for there to be a third source that you enter that can be both our needs as well as the city calendar. Because a lot of calendars have the ability to pull data in from other things. Exporting data is kind of a feature that is less common. But that is something that, like a Google Calendar or things that are, of that scale are more about being able to publish as well as subscribe to data. But what I was going to add to your discussion there is, from a first level, I would want to approach the city and the tourism commission, tourism authority. Because I think tourism authority is more about events generally people care about.
Yeah.
And some of the use cases that we've talked about here are, I didn't know about that, I didn't know about that. Getting, their information in is good just from a general usefulness. The city, I think, is good from a proof of concept and a close partner, since we fall under the city. Those two, I think, make a good place to start. And on that, I have had a conversation with Sammy, the Tourism Authority's director, and just kind of told her what we're doing, and that I'd be, having further conversations with her as we got to that point. So she is aware and seems willing to talk with us about what we're trying to do.
A mock-up at this point, if she would be helpful.
Well, when you say this point, I think we need that for whatever our date is in November. I don't know when we're on City Council's agenda. I just know it's one of the 2 meetings in November, after our November meetings. So I think that question is appropriate for next month's meeting, or at the latest November's. Next month's meeting is when we should be talking about that. But yes, I think we need a high-level presentation that talks through kind of these goals, and then some mock-ups that show concepts in a visual form. What they don't have to have any relationship to what it will finally look like. Just because people,
imagine if you will.
Some people are much more visual in how they absorb information versus, following through on what I would say to them in a meeting.
Yeah, I have a bit of bandwidth in October. That's why I was asking.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I hope to have some bandwidth soon, although I know for the next 2-3 weeks I'm really going to be not available to get much, if anything, done outside of my work.
So between now and October holiday, the first weekend, right? So it's is it the 12th? Whatever the date is of the next meeting.
I want to say it's the 7th?
Oh, 7th, okay, the 14th is the holiday. Okay, the 7th. Like, what would you think would be a productive use of my extracurricular time?
I guess if you actually wanted to start drafting a visual of something, we could look at it together and kind of get feedback.
On the next meeting.
I mean, we don't need it,
Right.
but it doesn't hurt if you've got time between now and then to do that. That, I think, is a key deliverable, because taking what's written down here from our previous discussions and turning it into a presentation of PowerPoint, that doesn't take a lot of time.
Right.
But creating a
Right.
visual image of something, that can take a lot of time. And, you know, so I think starting that process earlier and then maybe iterating through it probably be a good use of time if you have it between now and the next meeting.
Yeah, I don't have as much between now and then, but I can get something started. I have stuff started, and like I even have some just laid out in a PowerPoint, but okay. I put in that document, I came up with a bunch of names, right? So I put Lighthouse Life. I don't really like it. It has connotations of like guideposts or something
Right,
like that.
right,
Some religious
right.
undertones. But I mean, I don't know, like, it'd be good to come to November with like a pitch from a marketing perspective, right? Like something that catches people's attention. You know, to your point that it's not just, the problem with Manistee, or somebody that lives in Wellston, is it, or Caliva, I'm guessing, and you said, so it refers to this town,
It can.
right?
Yes.
And I mean, you know, like whatever the township is in Mason County, just south of us, like,
I think it's Grant Township.
their events would be appropriate to be on the calendar, right? Their fire departments, the signs I see for their
Chicken dinner?
chicken dinner.
Yes, Grant Township chicken dinner thing, yep.
Yeah, very appropriate for this calendar, right? Because it's a lot closer than Crystal Mountain,
Yep.
so, to
Right.
Manistee.
Say a root beer float fundraiser,
Never heard of such a thing.
so.
But just to think like through, I don't know, maybe if you come along something in your daily lives that you think encapsulates the region, like peer-to-peer, P-I-E-R to P-E-R, you know, something like that. But I don't know, like do you go on a thing that you already had existing, like Manistee TV, or do you try to rebrand completely?
Good questions.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer to that. I think I'm more inclined to stick to using Manistee. Broadens it and sounds more inclusive. Just because for majority of people, I think that has the right meaning.
Right.
But there may be a vocal minority in the area we want that may feel otherwise. And you can never, there's not something that will be perfect for everybody.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean we shouldn't be thinking about alternatives, because there may be one out there that we just haven't stumbled across yet that is, you know, you hear and it's like, oh, yes, that's obvious.
Right, but I mean, you know, what is obvious is Manistee Community Calendar, right? Like that's
Right.
straight up, no confusion about what that is versus,
Potentially Manistee area.
Manistee area community
calendar.
MAC.
And you're starting to get long and hard to type. It's,
MAC, Manistee area calendar. So I will start to work on the mock-up or put some meat on what I have already started, and get that. I will have something by the next meeting.
Okay. And again, it's not critical that if you don't have time, but if you do, I think it's a good thing to start.
Yeah, I want to get moving because, we had told ourselves,
Yes.
we gave ourselves a timeline. Various perishable and non-perishable, right?
So I think that's all we have tonight. Anything else that
No.
you have?
Nope, all good.
Tom, you're public,
Good.
you want to say anything?
Thank you.
Okay. Just the Root Beer Float fundraiser is all we're gonna add to our conversation tonight.
That's the coulda, shoulda, woulda moment, So,
2 out a day for me, and I was going biking after, and I didn't want all that sugar. So I didn't get one, sorry, I should have just bucked up.
no, but I think that would be a great thing for a calendar, those different types of events that I had that would have been a great thing for me to add to it,
Yeah.
right? If
Yeah.
that would have been available, so.
I did Google, like, where are the boats, and the first hit was the Century, I think Century boat.
Yep,
I think that was the first thing that came up, and then a Facebook posting were the first 2 hits on my little small laptop.
Which were both probably accurate and
Yeah.
relevant.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Google generally can get you the information. You gotta know it's there to ask for it.
Right.
That's kind of the chicken and egg.
Yep, like, you'd have to know to look for a antique boat show,
Right.
right?
If you didn't
Yep.
know one was happening.
Or not just the date. Yeah, okay.
Okay, with that, let's adjourn the meeting at 6:26. Thank you all for your time, gentlemen.
Thanks.